In this video, we're going to walk through the interface of the Alerts page in Elastic Security. It's one of the primary locations in the app where triaging of alerts is performed, and it provides many options to perform follow-on actions seamlessly. At a high level, this page helps monitor, manage, and investigate alerts with various pre-built investigation functionality. You can also filter alerts, view alert trends, change the status of alerts, add alerts to cases, and start investigating and analyze alerts in place. First, let's start with the filter controls. These provide a quick drop-down filter in order to focus the triage of alerts. By default, these are status, severity, user, and host. You can also customize the filters to use different fields, as well as remove, add, and reorder them if you prefer, by selecting the action button on the right hand side and clicking Edit Controls. To reorder controls, just click and drag a control by its handle on the edge. To remove a control, just hover over it and you'll see a little tooltip menu, and just click the X to remove it and you'll be prompted to delete it. To edit a control, hover over and just select the pencil. Here you'll be able to select your new field. And finally, you can also add a new control by clicking the plus button. If you already have 4 controls, you must remove one first in order to make room for the new one. If you're editing or adding a new control, you can do the following in the configuration flyout that opens. In the field list, you can select the field that you want to use. The control type will automatically be applied depending on what field is selected. And then you can enter a user-friendly name for the control itself. Once done, you can click Save and Close, and you'll see the new one added to the bar. Next, let's look at the detection dashboard. Data shown in this section is based on the data range selected within the date time picker. There are 4 main tabbed views for this section. First is Summary. In here, you'll find 3 separate visualizations. One for severity levels, which shows the number of alerts broken down by each severity. Alerts by name, which shows a count of the alerts broken down by detection rule name. And top alerts, which shows the percentage of alerts based on the field selected. By default, this is host.name, but you have the option to change it to user, source IP, and destination IP as well. The next tab is the Trends tab. In here, this uses a histogram visualization to show alerts over time based on the fields selected in the drop-down fields. In here, you can use any field you want to group by this data. Next is Counts. This is a data table of alerts with 2 levels of grouping based on the field selected in the drop-down menu. And then the last is the Tree Map. This is the same as the Counts tab, except visualized using a tree map, a proportionally sized set of tiles based on the count value. This view can help you quickly pinpoint the most relevant and critical alerts that are prevailing within the system. Larger tiles represent more frequent alerts, and each tile's color is based on the alert's risk score. Green being low risk, yellow being medium risk, orange being high risk, and red being critical. You can click on the tree map itself to highlight and narrow down the alerts displayed in both the tree map and the alerts page itself. This adds it as a filter at the top, as you can see here. Additionally, you can also hover over each of the elements to see a summary of things like the severity level, the rules name, and host names, and add those to the filters as well. If you want to hide this section, you can collapse the visualization dashboard altogether by just clicking this little arrow here. The last section of the alerts page is the table. There's a number of ways that you can interact with this table and customize its look. On the left hand side, you'll find a number of buttons and toolbars to help you with this. First is the Fields section. This allows you to select the fields to display within the table itself. Next is Columns. This allows you to reorder the columns and turn on the visibility for columns selected. And Field Sorted, which allows you to pick the fields that you want to be able to search by and the order. Although not a customizable function, it's worth highlighting that the number of alerts within the time period is also shown in this left-hand side. On the right, you can see a Maximize button to see the data table in full screen. You can also change the look of this table from looking like a grid, which is a traditional table view that shows all the information for columns for each field, but you could also change it to what we call the event rendered view. The event rendered view displays alerts in a descriptive way, and it allows you to see a flow that indicates relevant details and context about the event. This makes it easier to see events in a more human readable format based on the context. So in this view, you can see that a number of these boxes are highlighted and interactive, and it allows you to add them as filters, go straight to timeline, look at the top values for that particular field, and also use it as a copy and paste mechanism. There are also some additional filters here as well that allow you to include building block alerts or to only show indicator match rules by selecting it from here. By default, building block alerts are excluded from the overview and alerts page, but you can choose to include them, which expands the number of alerts. Last thing that's worth highlighting is at the bottom left, you can see the number of rows that are displayed within the table itself. So you can always increase this if you want to see more of those events in here. Aid the analyst, rather than interacting with a continuous table, alerts can be broken down by certain fields, such as rule name, username, host name, source IP address, or any other field. To do this, just select the Group Alerts by drop-down and select the fields to use. You can select up to 3 fields for grouping alerts. The groups will nest in the order you select them, and the nesting order is displayed above the table next to the Group Alerts by drop-down. Each group displays information such as the alert severity and how many users, hosts, and alerts are in the group. The information displayed varies depending on the selected fields. You can interact with the alerts at the group level. To do this, select the Take Actions menu to perform a bulk action on all the alerts in the group, such as changing their status, or use the Selected Alerts menu shown